My husband, he has this girl that he calls his best friend, and I never really thought much of it, right? But then all of a sudden he's coming up to me saying, "Hey, I want to divorce you." Well, guys, I found out that his work girlfriend has been gaslighting him about divorcing me, and I know it's just so she can have him. How would you feel when somebody that you love so much accuses you of something that you have never ever done? Awful, right? Well, something similar happened with me recently, which forced me to be here and talk about it, as I have no idea what to do. I could really use some help at the moment. I've never done this because I've never been an expressive person, but in a time like this, I have no one that I can talk to. And I don't know how this works, so please hear me out. I'm highly aware of all the online trolling that is in the trend these days. So I request you all to please be nice. I'll just start. Before that, let me introduce myself. My name's Yor. I'm a 30-year-old person, and I've been going through a lot lately. My husband and I have been in a very happy relationship for a long time. 4 years now we've been married, and there's never been a day where I felt a sense of regret with this man. All this time we've always been each other's support system, and even if any problem occurred, we used to sort them together no matter what. But recently, we've not been on talking terms at all because my husband accused me of cheating on him, and guys, he also has proof. He claimed that he always knew, as my workplace is such, and that it was very obvious that at one point of time I was going to cheat on him. I simply could not take this, as to me it was really unexpected. I was taken aback by all these years whenever we used to fight or argue for the matter. He never shamed me for my work or slammed my character. Anyways, all of this just started 2 weeks back when he came home with a really sad face, and when I asked him if everything was okay, he simply said that he needed some space and directly went to his room, and slept without saying a word. I thought that he was facing some professional issues, so I chose not to interfere. The next morning, he simply got up and left even before I woke up, and simply left me with a text that he was getting late and he already did all the work. Initially, like all of us normal people, I thought that he was just going through a phase and everything will come back eventually, but this became persistent for the next 3 days when he completely stopped speaking. For the first 2 days, he came back home after midnight, literally all drunk, and threw away all the things that were in the house. And this behavior of my husband, let's call him Mike, as before I did not mention his name, it scared the hell out of me. It bugged me more when he started sleeping in a separate bedroom and did not say anything. I was really worried, so I decided to confront him, but I just did not know how, as he never was home, not even on the weekends, and it started bugging me as I was not seeing my way out of this, and of course, due to all that was going on, I thought I was going to lose him or something. There was this time when I used to surprise him at his workplace, during lunch hours, and then we used to have lunch together. So I thought that if I do that again, it'll make him feel better. I took half a day from work and went to his workplace. He was not out, and then I asked his coworker about him. He said that Mike was busy and asked me to go back to the office as he could not take a break. As a matter of fact, my husband was lying, as after that I saw him having lunch with the same coworker. I almost wanted to cry, as he had never done this before. Since I could not do anything about it, I went back and bawled my eyes out. That day, he did not come back home and just texted me that he was staying at his friend's place. The next morning, he returned back with a file in his hand. It seemed like a professional file, so I wasn't too concerned. But then he called me into the living room and announced that he wants a divorce. And that was the time that I simply broke down. He said that he has signed on the papers and now I have to. I asked him what led him to take this decision, and he said nothing, but then since I was persistent, he said that he regrets marrying me, and I've shattered him into pieces. Well, I was obviously confused until he called me a cheater, and accused me of cheating on him with multiple men. Guys, I was heartbroken, like, did he not trust me or what? He directly put this allegation on me, and for the next 4 days, I kept explaining to him that I did not cheat, and that he can check my phone and even inquire about my workplace and everything. I was not as scared, as I know I was faithful to him, and that he was the only one I was loyal to. I tried proving myself by explaining to him, but he refused to listen to me and said that he had proof against me. I challenged him to show me the proof, and guess what he did? And there were these pictures where I was hugging my coworkers, and that I was sitting at a cafe with my male best friend, and weirdly, the picture was clicked in such a way where it seemed like we were holding hands. I laughed it off as none of it was true, and I told him that it was nothing like the pictures and that I met my best friend, and after 5 minutes his girlfriend also showed up. Come on. As for the coworkers, I work in a legal department where most of the workers are males, and I'm usually working with him on one-to-one basis, but he did not believe me and asked me to sign the papers, as he wanted to get rid of me. I kept asking him to believe me and that I did not cheat on him, and for the matter, I even showed him my phone. But he simply rejected everything and asked me to leave. I was not ready to just sign them as I had not done anything. The next day after our big argument, he asked to vacate the house as soon as possible or else. He was going to take action against me and he gave me 2 days. I just had those days to prove myself. However, one thing that I did not understand was who the hell sent him these pictures, and the fact that it seemed like the person is desperate to get us divorced or something. Well, of course, I found out and I was beyond shocked. It was his college best friend, Samantha. How do I know this, you may ask? Well, I checked his phone that morning while I was in the washroom. I'm not usually someone who invades a person's privacy like that, but right now, my relationship is on the edge of breaking, so unfortunately I had to take this step. In those 5 minutes, I figured out everything and understood that Samantha was manipulating him into believing that I was being unfaithful. The chats clearly showed that she was gaslighting him by consistently talking about the fact that what kind of loyal woman would meet her best friend on a regular basis. Or, why would a married woman consider working in a male-oriented department? My foolish self actually thought that my husband was okay with all this, LOL. She clearly managed to brainwash him and was looking at the current scenario. I believe she has succeeded. I did not think of anything and went directly to her house and decided to confront her on the spot. But before that, let me briefly talk about mine and Samantha's problematic past. So, when Mike and I had started dating, I believe that she has never liked me since. The moment I met her, she made just a face at me and questioned Mike about his choice. That too in front of me. She's never spoken to me with a straight face. When Mike and I got married, she was hesitant at first, but then showed up to the marriage initially. I had a feeling that she had a thing for him, but Mike made it clear that he only sees her as a sister, and that there was nothing like that. Before we got married, she told my husband that he'll regret marrying me, but since we were in love, he did not listen to her and we got married. But, looking at the present scenario, I think she's trying to win over Mike due to her feelings. Anyways, coming back. When I reached her place at first, she did not open the door and refused to talk to me, and when I told her that Mike was going to divorce me, this is when she opened the door. Since I did not have much time, I directly asked her why did she try to manipulate Mike and saying that I cheated. She simply said that she was trying to save her bestie from a toxic relationship and that he deserves better. Even when I told her that I did not cheat, she said that she was the one to collect all the proof and now is the time that I set my husband free. She basically threatened me that now I can't do anything to save my marriage and it's for the best that I just move on, so that he can lead a happy life. I confronted her if she had feelings for my husband, to which she replied he was her brother and she would want the best for him and simply shut the door in my face. I went back home and asked Mike about the fact that he did not even try talking to me once. If he was going through something and he simply said that he trusts Samantha more than me, I realized that I had lost and there was nothing I could do to prove myself. But there's still hope, though. Just 1 day left before I vacate the house, and I'm having a hard time, but what do? I even feel guilty about it. I've not done anything, and I've literally explained to my husband, but he's not listening. So I ask you all to guide me through this, as I don't know what I shall do next. If you were in my place, what would you have done? Please, guys, I'm all ears. Update number 1. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're doing well. First things first, thank you for the love and support that you've all sent my way, and honestly, it means so much to me. And while I was going through all the messages and replies, I felt so strange and I had hope. However, to the troll who's claiming that I lied, excuse me, do you have proof? All my life, I've been loyal to Mike. I've never even thought about any other man for that matter. I am a respectable woman and independent, and clearly I have got no need for your validation. Peace out, haters. Anyways, coming back to the update, right? It's been 2 weeks since the last time I posted, and frankly, I just did not expect myself to be back so soon. But I felt, since most of you are in my support, I found the time to update everybody. So, I've been living separately since the last 2 weeks as I was left with no option, and since Mike would not listen to me, I had to move out. Currently, I'm residing with my friend who's been really supportive of me, and believes in my story that I was not being unfaithful. I'm currently with her till I find an apartment. I figured out something cliche, and that's why I came here to update you all. And hear me out, this one is a major update. When I left my previous house, I had actually forgotten my gadgets there since it was not possible for me to move out with everything at once. While I was on my way to my house, Samantha was exiting with a woman whom I'd never seen before. Obviously, they were there just to see Mike, as apparently the poor guys got cheated upon. Look, Samantha visiting after the separation seems obvious, but I wanted to know who the other woman was. I went inside the house, and Mike was still very upset and refused to even look at me. I told him that I'm not here to bother him and that I was only here to collect my things. He ignored me and rushed upstairs before I could ask him about the other woman. Anyways, I collected my stuff and left. I shared this with my friend, who told me not to overthink it and that I should let Mike go now. But my mind kept telling me that there was something wrong. I believe 3 days later, when my friend, let us call her Kat, returned home, she told me that she saw Mike with a woman near the workplace, and they seemed pretty close. At the time, I was only trying to control my emotions, as it sounded like Mike had already moved on. And even when the divorce was not finalized yet, I asked if the woman seemed familiar, but she had never seen her before. I cried myself to sleep that night. Anyways, to distract myself, I went out for some groceries, where I saw Mike with the woman who had been to our house with Samantha. For a moment, I thought that maybe Kat was talking about the same woman, and I followed them along. I know I should not have, but I let my intrusive thoughts win, and followed. I saw them kissing in the park, and I literally ran away. Looking at them, I thought, what did I do to deserve this? Anyways, I don't want to let this all go so casually, so I called Mike from a different number, as he blocked me, and asked him about the woman. He said that he's dating her and is extremely happy about it and thinks that she's the one for him, as, she's helping him move on from his trauma. I told him that now he was the one cheating, and he simply rejected it by saying it was karma, paying off. Mike said that Samantha was kind enough to introduce her cousin to him, as she wanted to support him, and she's been doing this all along. Well, obviously at that moment, I cut the call and decided that I would never speak to him again, as he was just not worth it, but then came the plot twist. Samantha's cousin, we'll call her Ruth, is pregnant, and that's why she wants her to get married to Mike, as I'm thinking he is the one who got her pregnant, and to come out clean, he asked me to move out. By blaming that I cheated? How do I know this, you may ask? Well, after I had spotted her and Mike together, I had followed her to her place, but she ended up at Samantha's. I could hear a bit of murmuring, something like he said, she said, he'll get to know soon, and everything, that this is all going to come to an end, and something like, quote, my child will pass, blah, blah, blah. I could not figure it out, so I came back. And once again, I'm stuck in a loophole. Guys, what should I do? Please, let me know. Update number 2. Hey guys, I'm back for an update, and well, it's been a minute. I hope you're all doing well and taking care of yourself. So, for the past week, I've not been able to sleep properly, and as much happened, I'm really disturbed, but anyways, here's an update. And also, just before I forget, I would really like to thank everybody for the support. It's really given me the motivation to choose right things for myself. I will continue to fight. Anyways, back to the update, right? I've been trying my best to move on from everything, and just when I feel things are going in the right direction, something or the other shows up out of nowhere. So, as most of you are aware, that Ruth is pregnant, and everything I did think initially that it was Mike's child, but no, this is clearly not the case. If I'm being honest, when I saw her for the first time, she did not even seem pregnant, and while they were talking, it occurred to me that all of this was some sort of drama. So that I could get clarity, I decided to follow Ruth and Samantha, as most of the time they were together. And just so I could not get caught, I followed them from a different car. I saw them entering the clinic, maternity clinic, obviously, which cleared my doubts, and she was pregnant, and this was just her first month. And that is what her belly was not showing so much. I waited outside the clinic, and when they left, I followed them again, and they stopped by a restaurant. So I went inside the restaurant after 5 minutes so they would not see me, and oh boy, I sat at the table across from them. With my back in front of them, luckily, I was able to hear each and every word that Samantha spat out of her mouth. While she gaslighted my husband, she also managed to gaslight her cousin into seeking financial support through Mike, as it would not just be beneficial Ruth, but also Samantha, as she was also going through a major money crisis. Ruth admitted to her that she did not want to lie to Mike as he was a good guy, and if he gets to know what they're planning, he would not help them, and that's when Samantha said that they need to play it safe. They planned to get Mike drunk and act like she slept with Ruth without protecting, and now she's pregnant. So even if he was not ready for marriage, he'll have to, as he was going to be left with no choice. I was so shocked, absolutely shocked to see Samantha's vile intentions while she was talking. It was not her cousin that she was trying to help. She herself needed help to survive and rise financially. What a filth. Samantha also mentioned that it was Ruth's mistake that her fiancé left her, and now they'll have to use Mike. 3 days later, Mike showed up at my place begging to not sign the divorce papers, and that he'll cancel our divorce as he still believes in us, and that he wants to reconcile. Shocking, right? Now, I'm sure you all must be wondering what's happening. While Samantha and Ruth were speaking, I had recorded their entire conversation as proof, and on the same day emailed it to Mike, who first said that all of this was a lie, but then had to believe it when he confronted the dumb sisters. A huge chaos broke out at Mike's place when he confronted them, especially Samantha, whom he'd always considered his best friend. He was shocked to learn about her intentions and was highly disappointed. He threatened that he'll file a case against them if they did not stop, and that they would have to pay a hefty amount for the same, which obviously they did not have. And since they were left with no option, they simply left. But before that, even me and Mike had gotten into an argument that I had manipulated the voice recording as I wanted him back, and I simply told him that he was being set up by his so-called loved ones. Oh, yeah, and that all of this was a trap so they could use him as a financial resource and make the best out of it. He called both of them to his place as he wanted to speak. Although, before they even left, that's before Mike had threatened Samantha, being the filth that she is. She tried to manipulate him by creating a scene and everything, but he literally threw them out of his house. I'm kinda happy now, as I have obviously taken my revenge. However, am I still confused whether I should reconcile with Mike or not? Guys, what do you think? Final update. Hey y'all, I hope you remember me, and I'm sure you do. As those of you who do not, please feel free to read my previous post. It's been a month since my last post, and I apologize for taking much time. It's been difficult to keep up with the internet. But hey, anyways, I finally found the time to update. So not so long ago, Samantha and her cousin Ruth showed up at my door. I employed them as my servants, lol, and made them work insanely until they started taking out their anger and frustration on each other. So let me tell you what exactly went down. While I had just shifted into my new apartment, both the sisters showed up at my place as they were desperately in need of money. They apologized to me very desperately and asked me to request Mike to forgive them and help the two of them, since I was the only one who could get through to him at the time, since he felt guilty about doubting me, and that they were ready to do anything to make up to me. Make up to me? Seriously? These two had made my life miserable, and now they're expecting me to be nice to them and help them. LOL. Anyway, since I was bored in my house all alone, I decided to have a bit of fun and put forward a condition in front of them and asked them to become my personal servants. I'll pay them pretty well. And I knew that Samantha's ego was hurting her, but she had to agree because she was flat out broke. Without even thinking, she said yes, and they started working from that day only. It was funny how both of them were struggling for their life only for the sake of money. But somewhere I also felt bad for Ruth, as she was in this condition because of Samantha only. Gradually, after a week, they were going down as I had made them work so much that anybody would have given up. I saw both of them losing their cool, and Ruth mistakenly kicked a bucket that fell on Samantha's foot, and oh boy, she gets so angry and she literally came forward and slapped the hell out of Ruth and blamed her for everything, whereas she herself was broke and was using her sister as an excuse for money. After Samantha, even Ruth lost her cool and started hitting her. Both of them got into a cat fight and made a mess in my home. I've come in between them to stop them as they were disturbing the neighbors with their voice, and since now I've been done, I fired them and told them that they were not good enough and we were inadequate in terms of household work and asked them to leave. They started behaving hysterically and asked me to reconsider. I said that if they don't leave in 5 minutes, I'll call the law, and once again they were out just like that. As for Mike, I did not reconcile with him, as a man like this is clearly not worth it. I tried my best to save our relationship, but he wanted to trust his so-called best friend, who has indirectly succeeded in terms of sabotaging our relationship. So, it is what it is. And honestly, at this point, I don't care anymore. I'm more happy this way, and the good news is that I've signed on divorce papers. Although, he's been calling me consistently, trying to convince me not to do it, but I just don't care. I stopped responding. Well, this is going to be my last post, and I'm finally out of such a toxic environment. So guys, thank you. Bye, everybody. Good night. But the question I'll ask you, do you think I should have taken Mike back? He was my lover for a long time.